Good morning, children. Yesterday we began a beautiful story, The Necklace from Footprints Without Feet, where we are reading about Madame Matilda Loisel, who is a very pretty and charming woman, and she feels that she is born to enjoy all delicacies and luxuries of life. Unfortunately, she is too poor to afford her rich dreams, so she suffers constantly, lamenting her destiny. Married to Loisel, a clerk at the Board of Education, Matilda makes her life more miserable by comparing her humble reality with her dream to live a life of affluence and luxury. She dreams of adorning herself with exquisite dresses, but in reality, she has neither frocks nor jewels, nothing. Her husband cares for her and tries to cheer her up by admiring the little blessings of their ordinary life. One day he brings to her an invitation to a party from the Minister of Public Instruction, but Matilda feels even more miserable on getting this invite. She fumes as she does not find any of her dresses suitable enough for the grand occasion. Her husband does not wish to miss the opportunity, so he readily parts with 400 francs that he had saved for a hunting gun so that Matilda could buy herself a party dress. Now let's see what happens next. Students, we are on page number 41. The day of the ball approached and Madame Loisel seemed sad, disturbed, anxious. Nevertheless, her dress was nearly ready. Her husband said to her one evening, "What is the matter with you? You have acted strangely for 2 or 3 days." So, children, the ball dance was approaching, the day of the ball dance was approaching near, and Madame Loisel did not appear to be happy. Even though her dress was ready, her husband had given the amount for the dress, everything was well done. But she was not happy. She was behaving very strangely. And she responded, "I am vexed not to have a jewel." Vexed, worried here. So she was worried because she was not having a proper jewelry to wear, she said. Nothing to adorn myself with. So what I am going to wear along with the dress, adorn, decorate? I shall have such a poverty stricken look. I would prefer not to go to this party. So she refused to go to the party because she said that instead of appearing to be poor in front of everyone, it is better that she changes her idea to go. He replied, "You can wear some natural flowers. In this season, they look very chic. Chic is fashionable." She was not convinced. "No," she replied, "there's nothing more humiliating than to have a shabby air in the midst of rich women." So she said that I will be looking very untidy, very dirty, very shabby in front of the rich women by wearing the natural flowers. Then her husband cried out, "How stupid we are! Go and find your friend Madame Forestier and ask her to lend you her jewels." She uttered a cry of joy. "It is true," she said. "I had not thought of that." The next day she took herself to her friend's house and related her story of distress. Madame Forestier went to her closet, took out a large jewel case, brought it, opened it, and said, "Choose, my dear." So the husband realized that they were forgetting about Madame Forestier, who was always ready to help them. So she could go there and take some jewelry, nice jewelry from her. And when the work would be over, she would return back those jewels. So she also felt that she should go there. And then when she visited to Madame Forestier's house, she told that what was the reason of her distress. Distress is sadness. So what was the cause of her sadness? That she was not having a proper jewelry to wear, appropriate jewelry to wear on that newly made dress, tailored dress. So Madame Forestier asked her to choose the best one for herself. She saw at first some bracelets, then a collar of pearls, than a Venetian cross of gold and jewels of admirable workmanship. She tried the jewels before the glass, hesitated, but could neither decide to take them nor leave them. Then she asked, "Have you nothing more?" So, lot of options were there in front of her. She was not able to decide what to do because she could not say no also to the things that she was having because they were very beautiful, admiringly beautiful, and she could not say yes also because she felt that those were not matching with her dress. "Why, yes, look for yourself. I do not know what will please you." Suddenly she discovered in a black satin box a superb necklace of diamonds. Her hands trembled as she took it out. She placed it about her throat against her dress and was ecstatic. Ecstatic, overjoyed. She was very, very happy to find that necklace because it was perfectly suiting her and it was best for her and it would suit the dress also. Then she asked in a hesitating voice because she felt that whether her friend would give that to her or not because it appeared to be beautiful. Full of anxiety, she was worried. "Could you lend me this? Only this?" "Why, yes, certainly." So her friend did not refuse at all and she said that okay, she could take the necklace if she wanted to. She fell upon the neck of her friend, embraced her with passion, then went away with her treasure. So she took that treasure, the diamond necklace, and went back to her house. The day of the ball arrived. Madame Loisel was a great success, means she was appreciated by all. Students, whenever it is said that the woman is a great success at party, it suggests that everyone is admiring and appreciating her. She was the prettiest of all, elegant, gracious, smiling, and full of joy. All the men noticed her, asked her name, and wanted to be presented. So, all the men wanted to meet and get introduced to her, and then they wanted to dance with her. She danced with enthusiasm, lot of interest, intoxicated as if she was drunk, mesmerized with pleasure, thinking of nothing but all this admiration. This victory so complete and sweet to her heart. She always wanted to have this kind of admiration and success. She went home towards 4 o'clock in the morning. Her husband had been half asleep in one of the little saloons since midnight, with three other gentlemen whose wives were enjoying themselves very much. So, three other gentlemen were also sitting along with him in a parlor. Their wives were all enjoying up to 4 o'clock in the morning. He threw around her shoulders the modest wraps they had carried, whose poverty clashed with the elegance of the ball costume. Clashed means the whatever she was wearing, the modest the wrap she was wearing, that was in complete contrast to the dress, to the aura, to the complete surrounding of the ball, to the ball costume, to the necklace that she was wearing. She wished to hurry away in order not to be noticed by other women who were wrapping themselves in rich furs. She was not having rich fur like the other women, and she felt that it was quite embarrassing. If anybody would find her in the modest wrap, she would be insulted, and all the success at the party would vanish. Therefore, she started to run towards her house. Lysel detained her. He wanted to stop her. "Wait," said he, "I am going to call a cab." But she would not listen and descended the steps rapidly. When they were in the street, they found no carriage and they began to seek for one, hailing the coachman whom they saw at a distance. So they were trying to catch a coach to go home and therefore they were calling out the coachman to stop. They walked along towards the river, hopeless and shivering. Finally, they found one of those old carriages that one sees in Paris after nightfall. So finally, though they walked for a little while, but they finally found a carriage. And usually, those kind of carriages are at the time of night, used at the time of night in Paris. It took them as far as their door and they went wearily up to their apartment. It was all over for her. And on his part, he remembered that he would have to be at the office by 10 o'clock. She removed the wraps from her shoulders before the glass for a final view of herself in her glory. So, usually, children, it is a habit that when we return back home, we want to see ourselves once more in the mirror, especially on those occasions when we were admired much at the party or those kind of events or occasion. So while they were walking towards their house, and the husband was thinking that by 10 o'clock he has to again reach to office, she was admiring herself before the glass after reaching home. Suddenly she uttered a cry. Her necklace was not around her neck. Loisel, already half undressed, asked, "What is the matter?" She turned towards him excitedly. I no longer have Madame Forestier's necklace. He arose in dismay. He was very sad and stunned because he understands what losing a necklace, diamond necklace, is for them, especially when it is of the other person and the other person has lent it to them. What? How is that? It is not possible. And they looked in the folds of the dress, in the folds of the cloak, in the pockets, everywhere. They could not find it. He asked, "You're sure still had it when we left the minister's house?" So, usually these kind of questions are asked to each other when we lose something.